You may receive much smaller monthly benefit payments soon, and the top analysts are warning Social Security payments and recipients to prepare for a much lower COLA adjustment. Now, there may be a silver lining everybody in the situation for some seniors and retirees that have been forced to pay higher interest prices for monthly expenses. But seniors on Social Security benefits saw the benefits rise by 8% at the start of the year. And this was the largest COLA adjustment to arrive in decades. It's helped some seniors shore up finances and gain buying power over the past 5 months and change that. Many people say that Social Security recipients should not expect their COLA to look anything like their 2023 raise. And based on the recent inflation data, Senior Citizens League is projecting that the 2024 COLA will amount to 3%. Of course, the number is by no way means set in stone. Social Security COLAs are calculated based on third quarter inflation data from the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers. And since we haven't even gotten to the third quarter of the year yet, it's too soon to say what the adjustment will be with certainty. And it's clear with inflation that has been gradually cooling since peaking in mid-2022. And that means no matter what 2024's COLA looks like, it's bound to be pale in comparison to this year's 8% raise. That's actually not a bad thing though, because experts say that there's a total natural reason for Social Securities to want a giant raise. But a smaller raise isn't that bad, because it's an indication that inflation isn't as rampant. And with inflation cooling, seniors may have a much easier time keeping up with the basic expenses in 2024, like utility bills, groceries, and transportation. But given that many beneficiaries, everybody, are looking at a much larger Social Security paycheck this year, it's a good time to start saving extra money away, just in case the COLA truly disappoints. The biggest issue right now is that millions of seniors don't have savings to fall back on for the Ssdi income. New data has also revealed that seniors are one group that has been hit the hardest by the crisis. We also do not even know what next year's Medicare premiums will look like. Those can easily erode Social Security's COLA as well. The SSA announces upcoming COLAs in October, and they won't know what next year's raise will look like for quite some time. In between now and then, we are expecting to see different projections come through. They may be larger or smaller than 3%, depending on what upcoming CPIW readings look like. And a group of Republican lawmakers have brought changes to Social Security back to the table as House Republicans seek to curb government spending and balance their federal budget. The House Republican Study Committee unveiled a new blueprint that proposes changes to Social Security, including raising the form retirement age to 69 and 67. And starting in 2026, a couple years from now, the proposal and the full age of retirement would increase by 3 months a year, excluding those who are already retired or nearing retirement, until the retirement age reaches 69 years for those who turn 62 in 2033. Now, lawmakers, everybody, in both chambers of Congress have been trying to figure out how Social Security is ahead of its insolvency problem. Republicans argue that failing to fix the funding for Social Security could lead to a 23% cut in benefits. Now, Democrats, however, have pushed back on the blueprint, opting to fund Social Security through higher payroll taxes and more taxes on the country's elite. Now, Social Security was a top issue for lawmakers amid their debt ceiling negotiations, but luckily the agreement was made. We have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, Ssdi, and Ssdi. A ton of news about the fourth stimulus payments are coming in. I have a lot of information that I'm going to share with you guys today in this video, so continue watching. The several lawmakers, everybody, in Congress have discussed new inflation relief checks for the people. So if you reside in states like Minnesota or Massachusetts, well, you may qualify for at least another stimulus check this year. It comes as budgets are being finalized, states are planning to use the budget surpluses for another round of checks. So a lot of good things are happening in Congress, and a lot of stimulus payments can actually be sent out faster than we ever thought in the history of our lives. So, as I was saying, it's official, the governor in several states like Minnesota have actually hoped to include a tax rebate in the state's upcoming budget. It comes from the announcements of the state's budget. It's set to go for January 24. And according to the Associated Press, well, the budget will propose indexing state aid for school districts just to help combat inflation. So Waltz has told reporters that I think people are feeling inflation. Even though it might be cooling a little bit, there's a slight sense of urgency among people to get something done. And that's good here. Something should be done, because the Governor Waltz's original pitch for the tax rebates has been quite generous for a lot of people. It gives single filers, for instance, a lot of breathing room, a lot of time to just think about what they can do, and now the government has already signed them into a second term. So, though not all of these fellow lawmakers share the priorities, though, because the House Speaker and Majority Leader claimed they wanted to prioritize tax credits for families, giving the families $3,000 for every child 5 or younger, with a cap of $7,500. Even a Massachusetts governor and top lawmakers signaled that a clear picture of potential tax relief may not even emerge until at least the end of January, when a key final metric is actually heard of. So one governor, for instance, said their teams are working closely through numbers and evaluating what's possible. They said that we told reporters how important it is to make sure that we're doing everything we can for the residents of the state. And Healy on the campaign trail had vowed to make progressive permanent tax relief her day one priority. She also had largely echoed support for the now former governor Charlie Baker's sweeping tax cut proposal last year. And low, middle, and income residents have all received some stimulus payments just to stop the crying at least. But now the IRS said it recently finished correcting tax returns, filing that for 2020. And so the IRS said, folks, that the average tax refund is around $1,200, with tax agencies sending a total of $15 billion back to the taxpayers. So while taxpayers were sent letters from the IRS just to inform them about the fixes to the 2020 tax filings, well, tax review came due to the American Rescue Plan. It was signed by Joe Biden, we all know that, and because the IRS, it reviewed returns filed by workers and even other people who have jobless aid as income. So the IRS told CNBC that some taxpayers received refunds, while others received overpayment applied due to taxes or other debts. In some cases, the exclusion only resulted in a reduction in their adjusted gross income. But now we know that about 14 million tax returns were corrected. The IRS issued refunds for 12 million of those filings. It added individuals, married couples whose adjusted gross income was below 150 grand, or who were eligible to see unemployment and aid untaxed. According to the IRS, it has now finished corrections, everybody. Though it has added taxpayers who are eligible for the exclusion and who haven't gotten a correction from the IRS. Well, they need to be amended very, very quick, or else you won't get that stimulus cash that people need. Wow, we have a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, Ssdi, and I want to go over some very important notes that I have about the fourth stimulus payment and what Joe Biden should do about this fourth stimulus check and what he's going to do now very soon.
Hey everyone, today we honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King was a prophet. He saw the future as it could be, a future of equity, justice, and opportunity for all. Dr. King saw the connection between racial injustice and economic injustice, and he knew that to effectively address either injustice, our nation would have to address both. Together, in the spirit of the fight for freedom and equality, let us stand together to end the epidemic of violence and hate in our communities. Let us advance workers' rights and economic dignity. Let us continue to protect and strengthen our most sacred freedoms, the freedom to organize, the freedom to worship, the freedom to make decisions about one's own body.
Now, Chuck Schumer and Manchin are holding meetings on how to move forward with President Biden's Build Back Better bill. Schumer has announced that the bill will be passed very soon. However, there will be some adjustments